Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Welcome Grove Homestead. We are getting some evening chores done, and David actually needs to unload a trailer full of feed that I just got. Actually, I picked it up yesterday, but David didn't get home from work until after dark last night, and today he's home before dark, so he's going to work on getting that unloaded.
Well, hello there, everybody. It is time to get this grain off this tractor. There's a lot there. Take a look. Nice. Yeah, pretty thrilled. We got 4,000 pounds of grain, 2 tons of pig, 2 tons of cow, and unfortunately I'm not quite manly enough to lift them with one hand, so I'm going to use one tractor. It's going to make it easier, and we're going to put this inside the barn, and that should make life easier for Amanda and Nathan when they are getting chores done in the morning and evening. So we're going to get going with that, and I'll show you how I do it. So a while back I told you guys about my best advice I got was get yourself a good chain. Well, today I'm going to start with this good chain, and I'm going to transition to using a good piece of lifting rope. I'll have to show you what that is when it gets here, but it's a fabric version of this and works a little better on the barrels. Incidentally, if you recall that day that I had gone over to help our neighbor Randy with the cow that had just been dispatched because it was like an emergency, well, that day I had taken it in the bucket over to his house, and I left it at his house. So I just called him and he said, yep, sure enough, it's in the back of his truck still. So Amanda's gone to pick that up. I'm gonna start working on these barrels while I got daylight with this good chain, and we'll get started with that fabric strap when she comes back. All right, well, Amanda just got back with said strap, and this is what it looks like. It is gonna make a very easy slip knot. Just slide that over your hook or edge of the tractor, this end over the barrel, and it tightens up like a slip knot, but it will allow me to kind of move them without worrying about the chain slipping on and off. You probably saw in that very first one that I just brought over, this bucket is here because the chain slipped right off. So yeah, you can move 300-pound buckets with chain, but metal and metal don't have a great grip. So this will hold it nicely. Caleb, can I ask you to hold this while I get to the tractor, and then I'm gonna have you get down so I don't crush you, because this is gonna be really dangerous. Yeah, lots of weight moving around. There we go. And now into the barn we go. Silver Surfer. So we got it all into the barn. That was pretty cool. I love the ability to move tons of grain, literally tons of grain, in just a course of 20 minutes or so. Super great. The 50-pound bags, they're, you know, easy to move, but this is like moving 6 or 7 of them at a time. It's pretty awesome. Problem is, can't exactly put them right where you want with the tractor. The dexterity's not quite there. So we end up putting them in spaces like this or trying to move them. So now I've just got to go around and tidy everything up so Amanda can get to milking and barrels aren't in her way. Now these are quite heavy. And kind of have to use whatever leverage you can, especially when you're trying to get them into places that are a little tighter. But
just watch that the latch isn't gonna
Oh, you want actually to be able to get into the barrels? There.
Thank
Look
you.
at that. Nice thing about these things, they're raccoon proof.
We work on that one. It's like really, really stiff.
Probably just need a WD-40 it.
Probably. I put my alfalfa pellets in there.
Nice.
Thank you.
I mean, my pleasure.
I appreciate you being so musty for me.
You know, there are days I wish I could do this all day long. Today was one of those days at work. I wish I could be at home working on the farm all day long. But I guess to everything there's a season, right? And this is the season to be working in an office during the day, in the farm at night, which you probably saw, sun's going down. Time's kind of limited, especially in the winter. So I enjoy this. Doesn't take too long to be able to get some real stuff done. And work is easy when you're enjoying it. Huh, cows? They're working out in the field all day. Field workers.
The cats are yowling for their milk.
Ah, poor kittens.
Poor,
You should milk.
suffering,
Give them some milk.
deprived cats.
Give the kitty some milk.
Hey, the light is different in here.
Yes, the light is different in here. You can see me at night in here without being yellow. We put in some LEDs actually last night or the night before because we were really tired of having no light. And then we tried some I don't know, different can lights. They just weren't good enough. So we kind of upgraded some of the lighting and it's looking better. So that's pretty awesome. And now they have some light over there, which is awesome.
Yes, it makes it much easier for checking on Rapunzel, who is...
Stubbornly not having her baby.
And she's not in here at the
right
moment. She's over
On the
there
other side of the fence here. Hi, baby. I know Miss
where
Personality.
it's darker. Black cow in the black night. Isn't that beautiful?
Go in the dead of night. All right, you went and got your wagon, and now you're getting ready for milking.
Yep.
I always think this is like a real interesting thing that never, I don't know, I never really knew what went into milking a cow. And so I kind of wanted to just show everyone what your process looks like. And you can kind of explain what you're doing as you go. We'll talk about the machine and all the things you got to do to actually use a milking machine. It's pretty a lot more work than just milking by hand, but a lot easier.
It's more work than, say, just walking up and milking her like I do with the goats. But, oh my gosh, you're gonna have to open that. Thank you. But if I had to milk her by hand, I couldn't do it because she's got the itty bitty short teats.
Right, so she's
So-
a dairy cow.
Yes, where's my scoop?
I don't know. Where's your scoop?
So Claire gets 1 scoop of alfalfa pellets because alfalfa hay is very expensive and she's already getting plenty of fiber from the hay that she eats, so I'm not too worried about her getting fiber from the alfalfa. She gets calcium from it. And then she gets 2 scoops of our cow grain that I get from a local mill. It was freshly milled and put straight into the buckets.
Today. That's super cool. Corn and stuff.
Corn and stuff.
That's their super secret recipe. Corn and stuff. And of course, then we mix it all together and Claire goes to town on it.
She also gets a handful of minerals.
Handful. I thought that was just the morning. See, I don't know anything.
I bumped her up to twice
Oh, okay.
because I don't think it's going to hurt
I
her.
was totally wrong. And those minerals are given to her probably for the same reason any farm animal needs minerals. There's just deficiencies in the soil and
Yep. And she is ready to go. Hi, darling.
she's like, "Put me in, Mom."
Okay. Are you ready? You are very ready. Okay. Everybody, get clear.
Hungry cow coming through. Good girl.
She knows exactly where to go.
And exactly what time to come in.
Yep. The evening milking, she is usually waiting for me now.
Nice.
Morning milking, not so much.
You're waiting for her.
So you got her in her spot. Now you're getting all your equipment out.
Yep.
You got a plug-in milker. And tell me about your milker.
It is just a really inexpensive little pulse milker that I got on Amazon of all places. Because I knew I didn't need a big machine for one cow. So I got this little bitty one. I think that's Hanson is the name of the brand. And it doesn't have a huge capacity. It only holds about 2.5 gallons. But that's about the peak that she's made for me, is 2.5 gallons in one milking. So I think she's only made it like reach capacity a couple times.
This has been really a neat little machine that's been very effective. So process-wise, next you're just gonna go ahead and clean her up, right?
Yes.
She's got a dirty bag from day in the field.
I'm washing her teats. I use a chlorhexidine solution to wash her udder. I was going with like essential oil soaps and all that, but she did get mastitis a little bit ago. I mean, a couple months ago. And we were able to treat it without having to buy antibiotics and stuff like that, but I just feel like it just is a little bit cleaner to just go ahead and use the chlorhexidine. So, because she hasn't had any issues since.
So you seem to have some little fellas here,
Yes, I have some stalkers.
and they
because
seem to know what time it is.
They know. So the next step in milking the cow is to strip her teats. And stripping the teats just means to kind of push out any of the bacteria that has built up over the day.
First,
And
what, 5 or 6 squeezes or a few squeezes from the...
a handful of squeezes. When she's really full, sometimes I'll just give a little more to the cats just because they like it.
Cats like milk? Who knew?
Their mom doesn't.
Really?
Yep, she's not interested in the milk, but the kittens are.
I'll let her drink. She's like, dude, there's milk. I've waited all day for this. Pedals afterward, bro.
Drink up.
Alright, so I have the tubes are clamped shut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the machine and it'll run for 10 seconds to build up a vacuum. And then we'll put them onto teats and release them, and they'll suction up onto her teats. And they'll pulse and milk her out. Now the evening milking is a little bit more challenging because she's producing less milk, and sometimes we get a little bit of a backflow where the milk wants to flow backwards.
But generally, what are you looking for to know she's done?
I know that she's done when I stop seeing milk coming through the lines, but like I said, in the evening milking that can be a challenge. So what I'll do is I'll support the opposite teat, or the opposite cup, and I'll just break the suction just a little bit on one so that it sucks just a little bit of air and it clears the line, and put it back on the teat. And if it's still producing milk, then she's not done. When I don't get any milk coming through the line, then I know that she's done.
Perfect. That lovely sound. In the morning when that sound comes on, Claire gets excited and starts to let down, and she'll just start streaming milk out. Pretty funny.
She starts screaming even before it's on sometimes. She just knows it's milking time.
So you're doing both of the, what, right side?
No, they're actually diagonal because these two are the teats that will start dripping milk more than the other ones, so I just milk them out first.
Got it. So as you're milking, what are you looking for, watching her for, being aware of?
So I actually feel up at the top of the cups because I can tell when it seems like when it stops pulling milk out, it'll start pulling more of the teat down into the cup, and it gets uncomfortable for her, so she'll kick a little bit sometimes. So I try to be aware of when that shift happens and it starts pulling more of her udder into it.
And that tail, of course, gets going.
Yes, and that's how she got my eye.
Yes, a nice clean cow tail to the eye.
Absolutely. Alright, now I just started pulling up, but you can still see milk in the line. So I'm holding this one, break the suction,
Thank you for that.
and then just squeeze it a little bit to make sure it's all empty. It is. So now we move it to the next teat. so fast, I just keep my hand on it. I can even feel when it's empty because it's so small capacity. It only takes maybe less than a minute on nights. In the mornings it takes longer.
The nubbin, you've nicknamed the teat.
She has one teat, it's a nubbin.
I know this may sound like true facts, everyone knows this, but I didn't, so I'm gonna share it. So a cow and a goat, they each have sections in their udders that have to be milked out individually. It's not like you can just milk one side out and it will empty all 4 quarters. They're legitimately quarters and their own kind of orifice. And so they hold a total amount of milk, and if you don't milk it out, it will sit there and not be milked out. So especially for a dairy animal that you're trying to get to produce and have a demand, it's important that you milk out all 4 quarters. Now Amanda, she's gotten real familiar, there she is, with the cows and the goats and what they're expected to produce. So she knows the nubbin teat has a very small section to milk out, whereas the, oh, that's so nice to have that off. Whereas the others have larger capacity to both hold milk and produce milk. So anyway, now you have just finished.
So here's a comparison.
Okay.
Think about a breastfeeding woman has 2 breasts. They each have their own milk supply. It is the same thing with dairy animals. Each teat is connected to its own breast tissue and mammary duct. So even though they're all, it
There
looks
you
like
go.
it's one big bag, it's actually 4 bags together.
Interesting. Same with their stomachs.
Now, the milk machine is not able to milk out every last drop. And honestly, you're never able to milk out every last drop just because they are continuously producing milk. But we want to try and drain her as much as we can to keep that demand. So I just finish her up into the cat bowl.
And those cats seem like they're ready for
Round 2.
round 2, yeah.
Yep, they know they get 2 bowls of milk.
Gideon's very interested as well.
Now, the nubbin teat has got like nothing in it. So it's not really worth trying to milk in or milk out.
Right.
So, but the other 3 usually still have some.
That bag looks so much softer at the end.
Well, yeah, it's pretty squishy now. And having hands on it day in and day out, when she started getting that mastitis, I could tell when there was a shift. It started getting hot on one side. The texture on it was firmer, and of course it was tender. It hurt, so she fidgeted more when I handled it. But because you're so aware of every little minute change, you can catch things like that faster.
Tell me what mastitis is. I know everyone probably has heard the term, but it kind of gets thrown around out there with the assumption that people know what it is, and how would they treat it in like a full-blown dairy versus how you tried to treat it here at the house?
So mastitis is an infection in the mammary tissue. So it's an infection in her udder. It can be caused, most commonly, is just by bacteria getting in the mammary duct. Gets just in the orifice and creates problems. And we've made changes to how we manage our milking with we do a teat dip now. Everything stays a little bit cleaner, so we haven't had any more issues. But in a commercial dairy, when they have mastitis, they will treat them with antibiotics. There is a very common over-the-counter antibiotic that is sold for even people with a single milk cow. But I really didn't want to go that route because there is milk withdrawal time when you're doing that. And those medications are an intramammary infusion, which means you are taking a needle and shoving it up into their teat and putting antibiotics directly into the udder. And sometimes that can actually dry up that udder, or that quarter. So I really didn't want to go that route. I didn't want to have withdrawal time. I didn't want to risk drying up her quarter. So I went with treating her with essential oils. I used lavender and tea tree oil, as well as I paired it with, I have a peppermint udder cream that provided that relief and that cooling aspect for her, and it took a little bit of time, but being really faithful with it, it cleared up.
And it wasn't that much time, right? Like, we were talking matter of days, not like weeks or months where she was suffering.
It was maybe a week for it to go all the way away.
Yeah. Which, you know, anyone who's had an infection knows it stinks, but once you get medicine going, that helps. Now, you've put on 2 things while we're sitting here. You've put on some Bag Balm.
Yes. So I actually switched. I was using Bag Balm, which is its own brand. It's in a green tin, but it's much greasier than what I switched to. This is Dr. Naylor Udder Balm, and I like it so much more. It's smoother, it's creamier, it doesn't leave a nasty residue that I can't wash off my hands. Bag Balm it's a higher lanolin content, which is fine. It helps prevent the teats from getting chapped, especially in cold, windy weather. But it was so hard to wash off my hands, which is why you see that I use a glove when I'm putting it on. It just keeps my hands cleaner so that I can work with her the rest of the way.
And secondly, what is this stuff here?
This is Fight Back. This is a disinfectant that I just spray directly onto the end of the teats. Just keeps bacteria from getting up in there.
And you literally were shooting that straight up into the teat.
Yes, and then this one has to be primed every time. There we go. I got a upward trigger sprayer, which has changed my life. I was using a teat dipping cup, which is fine. It works, especially when it's freezing outside and you can't use a spray bottle. The problem is that it just wastes so much of the teat dip, and this is an iodine-based teat dip. But I would just end up having to dump everything that doesn't get used, because you can't just put it back in because you have whatever bacteria was on her teats. So it was wasteful. I like that we have this upward spray bottle now, because I can spray it directly up on the teats and get the same effect with using less dip. I know.
Nice, then it just drips off.
Yeah.
That's way less wasteful than the teat dip.
Yes.
But, you know, like you said, when it was 7 degrees or, you know,
yeah, when
30 is under 0 with wind.
When it's cold enough that it's freezing in the water, in the spray bottle, it's not going to help you.
Nice. Well, I'd like to say we're all done, but from here, you still have to go and dump them into jars. You've got to
That's what I have to
clean
do with the milk
machines.
anyway. I'm going to finish with Miss Claire. She gets a brush while she finishes her grain. The milk has to go inside, but we also need to get Rapunzel set for the night.
Nice. So all that milk that Amanda just milked out of Claire, probably about a gallon tonight, 2.5 in the morning, gallon and a half at night. What do we usually get?
So her nighttime production is generally a little over a gallon. Her morning milking has been a little fluctuating because I ran out of her grain, and she's does not
throwing a fit.
She does not love the goat grain, guys. So she's just under 2 gallons, but I'm expecting her to bring that back up to about 2 gallons.
She'll be around 3-ish. 3.5 gallons are pretty norm for her.
Per day.
Per day. Oh, yeah, per day. But what we'll do with that, we will separate it using our cream separator, which we are going to have to make a video of this thing now that we're kind of getting familiar with it. It's really awesome, and we can't wait to show you how it works and some of the tips and tricks that we have kind of learned with it, and some of the stuff that we can make with that. Very nice. Lots of fresh butters going on in our house right now. It's awesome. And fresh ice cream, super delicious. But then of course with the whole milk, if we just don't want to drink it, we could do that. Or my goodness, the cheese that we have been ingesting and sharing with friends. Awesome. Making homemade pizza with homemade cow cheese is top notch. Hey, looks like she's getting all brushed up and just about done. Y'all are doing a good job.
Keep it
Power
nice
of the
and
brush.
clean.
The power of the brush.
All right, lovely lady. Our super high-tech locking mechanism
if
here.
it works.
All right, come on. I know. She's like, well, it's over here. Come on. No, ma'am, you may not come in. Look, Stewie's not even over here.
She's like, oh, good, okay.
Stewie's a bit of a
Stewie's
turd.
a bully.
Come on. There you go.
And Miss Rapunzel,
Pull that closely.
you look like you're ready for a good scratch.
A bit too
For a
much.
cow that absolutely hated people or wouldn't have anything to do with them, she's really come a long way. Tossing her head, loving the scritches. 1,500-pound animal just becomes a little kid. She's got the shiveries going all over. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
There it is. That's the good spot.
She's like, hey, if you were pregnant, man, you would appreciate a good massage too.
So much hair. Definitely not all the way full yet, but we're getting there.
Now, when you say full, what are you talking about?
Her udder, I just reached down and felt it. She doesn't love it, so it's a quick feel. But, so I'm trying to monitor it because I know that when it finally pops or gets full of milk, we're gonna be really close. So, but this is a cow that nobody could touch just 6 months ago.
It is interesting the personalities of different cows. I don't think I ever gave cattle the I guess their rightful due with having their own personalities and temperaments, and even certain breeds being more temperamental than others.
Absolutely. The Angus girls are all way more jumpy than everybody else.
And then we have like Cuddlebug Stewie, who just wants to be your friend, and
And he's half Angus.
he's half Angus, but he doesn't have the personality of an Angus, which is very interesting. And Claire, of course, Jerseys are known for being the farmyard friend. Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
You can see her udder.
A little bit hanging down.
Yeah, it's getting bigger for sure, but it's definitely not full. Beautiful.
All right.
All right.
Good night.
Have a good night, darling. I'm covered in cow hair now. It's in my mouth. Oh, it's everywhere. Well, that was a lot that happened in a very short period of time.
Yeah, I like coming home from work. Cool stuff happens here. Hey, we got our feed unloaded, which is awesome. 2 tons of feed. We
Yeah.
got the cow milked, and got the cows all set up for the night. Audrey randomly just ran out 9 other cows and brought in Rapunzel all by yourself. So for those of you who wonder, are the kids helpful on the farm? Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. My hands are black
They are not
from,
white and
from
clean.
touching the cow.
Oh yes, she probably needs a bath.
I don't think
Good
she
luck
would
with that.
appreciate that.
I have a halter.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We are progressing ever so slowly towards having another live cow
Yeah.
baby on this farm.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see.
I'm seriously, how long have we been locking her up now?
4
idea.
weeks, because it's going to be any day, is what we were told,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it hasn't been.
Any week.
But now, Mommy thinks it'll be about in the next 7 days or so. She thinks about a week now.
Don't quote me on that.
Probably
It's going to be on the channel. You'll know.
Oh my gosh.
Probably 3.5 weeks.
3.5. Hope
3.5.
You think it'll be another month
Well,
almost?
if it's 3.5 weeks, we're going to have baby goats before we have baby cows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a while.
Use it.
Lots of things coming up to look forward to, and I hope you do join us for that.
Yay, kidding season! Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, this is your country nerd with a cow herd.
Yeah, cows.
And goats.
And
goats.
goats.
And goats.
And pigs. And turkeys and chickens and guineas and geese.
With a menagerie. We'll just say that.
A menagerie.
A farm.
Anyway,
A farm.
you can grow
Where
you're
you're
planted.
planted. Or transplanted or anywhere.
Yeah, especially transplanted. How
Or
we
maybe
do.
even in a house in a pot.
You want to be in a house in a pot? Why would you want to be in a house in a pot? You can be outside in a pot. Like the dog.